Hello, dear students. Very warm welcome. This is Professor Dr. Zia Ahmed. As promised, the first part was covered in my first lecture about this poem, and the second part is now I'm going to cover here. I have divided into two parts. I may be calling it stanza 1 and stanza 2. Though the poet is not making any clear-cut distinction like that, I have just for the benefit of my students divided that. So keep the text opened and find this line in your text so that we can continue from here. This line begins with whilst thus to ballast love I thought. So this is the line. Whilst thus to ballast love I thought. Dear students, look at this line and see the word ballast. No, it's not ballast, the bomb blast. No, not like that. It is ballast. And you need to understand what this is going to be. Ballast is the amount of iron which is put in the center of the boat. Boat is made up of the wood, there is no iron, but in the center of the boat, we put some amount of steel or iron. This is called ballast. Why this is put? To keep the boat balanced so that it may not drown down or it may not be floating so aggressively on the water surface. The balance is created because the iron takes the boat down and the wood takes the boat up, and that way balance is created. So from this phenomena of balance, the poet is going to use the same image for his love. He says that he is also going to create balance in his love. As the boat becomes very strong and powerful because of its good balance, in the same way he says that if he uses balance in case of his love, his boat of love, definitely it will be more interesting. That is why the poet says that he's thinking that he should try to create a balance in his love boat. He continues with that. Second line, let's read the second line. And so more steadily to have gone with wares which would sink admiration. He says that I will in this way be more balanced in my love, and as a result, when people will look at us as lovers, they would definitely praise us. He says, I saw I had love's pinnace overfraught. He says that actually, why he is thinking? Because according to him, he considered that his love is increasing too much. Its quantity and its quality is overfraught. It is increasing in size, in matter, in quality, it is increasing. And because of the excess of love, it is expected that the boat of love may drown. For example, he says, how much excess it is. In the next line, the poet says, every thy hair for love to work upon is much too much. He says this love is for even a single hair for his girl, for his beloved. He is so much intensely in love with that. Because of that, he says, love quantity is increasing. Some fitter must be sought. He says he should find out some of the treatment. If this is the excess of love, now what should be the treatment? That was told in the first line, that he will add a ballast in the same way as iron is added to make the boat impure, because boat is made up of the wood, and when the iron is put into that, it becomes a little bit impure, but the balance is maintained. Similarly, he says that in his love matter also, as it is increasing to the extreme, it is scattering everywhere. It is increasing from hair to hair of the beloved. It is so much in quality and quantity that he needs to make a balance of that. Now, as he created an impurity by adding ballast in the boat made of wood, in the same way he says a little bit of love should be impure. Although they are in love with each other, pure love is there. But he says that in this way, balance will not be there. To create a balance, he says that he should create some impurity in that. For example, the poet says in his lines, in his poem, he says, for nor in nothing, nor in things, extreme and scattering, bright can love inhere. That love cannot exist in the extremes. Then as the angels' face and wings of air, he says, look at the angels. You cannot look at the angels because angels do not have a body. You cannot look at them. But there is a way to look at them. For example, angels may be appearing before certain human beings. How do they look at the angels when angels do not have a body? John Donne will explain the whole phenomena. Let us enter into this phenomena and try to understand this complex phenomena. For example, how the angels become visible. He says that angels become visible because of the air. Because angels are pure creatures, we cannot see them, they don't have the body like that. So they make their body impure up to some extent by mixing with air, and that is why impurity enters into them and we are able to see the angels. So the difference between the angel and the air is that air is not so pure, angel is very much pure. Some impurity the angel adds into it, of the air, and as a result he becomes visible. Not 100% like the human being, but only it seems that there is some body present, and that is the, appearance of the angel. Now, if you look at the title of the poem, it's also Air and Angel. That if you want to see angel, it's impure. You cannot see it. So some impurity of the air will be required. Same is the case with the poetic lines of John Donne. Let us read them. Read with me, dear students. He says, the poet says that I had love's pinnace over fraud. Donne shifts to a nautical conceit here. That means he takes the image from the marine life or the sea life where the boats would travel on water, and in order to keep that boat in a very good condition, he goes and says, okay, I am going to create a ballast in the boat to create the balance. Same ballast he says I want to create in the poem or whatever the poem he's got. Whatever the love he has got, he wants to create a balance. And for the sake of that balance, he says some impurity should be added. He gives a second example of the impurity, that angels are very much pure, we cannot see them, and if want to become visible before a human being, what is required? Some impurity is required. And this impurity, angels will take from the air. So in both cases, in the example of the boat, ballast example, and in the example of the angel, some kind of impurity is required to make the things go in a nice way, in a good way. So how cleverly the poet is introducing that some kind of impurity is also necessary in love to make it strong. So that is why the poet says, of air not pure as it yet pure doth wear, so thy love may be my love's sphere, just such disparity as is twixt air angels' purity. He says he will make his love also a little bit impure in the same way as angels become impure by using that air for their appearance. So in that way, the poet concludes the poem by saying, twixt woman's love and man's will ever be. He says, there's no need to bring any impurity from outside. He says his love is pure, his beloved's love may not be that pure. This is not like accusing the beloved. He says she's a woman and she may not be loving with that intensity with which he is loving. So he says balance will be automatically created because the impurity of the love of woman will be included with the purity of his love, and the balance will be definitely created. So in this way, love will remain permanently available to him and to his beloved, just as strong as the boat is strong when the ballast is there, just as strong as the angel becomes visible to the human being when he appears in air. So in this way, all these things happen in this poem. We can enter into a little bit more analysis, dear students. When we read the first line, for example, whilst thou to blast love I thought, and so more steady to have gone, with wares which would sink admiration, I saw I had love's pinnace overfraught. Here you can see that Donne is using the technique of shifting from one conceit to the other. First, he used the conceit of the nautical conceit, I mean the things which travel on water, and they have to create balance for them in one way or the other to stabilize. And then he shifts to the angels. In both cases, we have a commonality that one side is spiritual, other side is physical. In case of air and angel, for example, angel is spiritual and the air is physical. Both the things combine together, and in that way, the problem is solved, that we are able to have a view that angel is there. So he says that overloadedness of love can be controlled by adding impurity into it. By this, I don't mean polluted impurity. I mean the balance where intensity is present, and then that intensity is reduced with some unintensity. As a result, there will be a balance. So from ballast of the boat to the example of the angel, the poet shifts to make us understand what kind of things he wants from his beloved, and ultimately declares that, okay, his beloved will not be loving him with the same intensity as he's loving. So quantity and quality of the love of beloved will be less than the quantity and quality of the lover, and as a result, the balance would be created. So in that way, the physical beauty, the richness of love, everything the poet has brought in his poem. For example, the poet says that for nor in nothing, nor in things, extreme and scattering. He repeats his concept once again by saying, okay, it's not possible that love may be existing all the time in hot things. I mean, in the extreme things, it's not possible. He says, therefore, some kind of measurement is to be taken so that the love can sustain. He again repeats his example by saying, then as an angel's face and wings of air, not pure as it is, yet pure doth wear, so thy love may be my love's sphere. And that is the central conceit of the poem. And you know this far-fetched idea. How would an angel appear? I mean, it's very difficult to understand. I think, dear students, you can also understand if you have a cell phone, which is Android cell phone, and you know you have multiple screens on the cell phone, and you just touch your finger speedily and the screen changes. But once try to touch the screen and change the screen very slowly. You will find that one screen is still present, other screen has entered on the screen. And in that moment, very temporarily for a few seconds only, you will be able to find some kind of reflection or some kind of shadow of one screen also present there. And that would be the example that although there is no shadow at all in the cell phone, but because of our slow speed, the shadow appears. And that is how he says that angel can appear when he takes the shape of air also. So how complex the image is going to be, and this is the very complexity which the poet has again and again used, and he is called as a metaphysical poet because he uses the conceits which are very, very complex. Spirituality and physicality of love are again repeated by joining all these things together. He says that finally, when he enters into the final thought, when he is about to close his poem by giving the example of angel, he says that there is a reflection of love, what he has for his beloved. Inside his beloved, the reflection of his love is present. So when reflection will be there, it will not be the purity of love. Some impurity will automatically enter, and so in that way, the thing will be done very well. So that is the kind of thing the poet is trying to teach us through his poetry, very complex type of concept of love. And we can also say that he is talking about the male-female love in that way. There's a sensuality element also present. The spirit and the body, he says, that can coexist together. Without coexistence, it's not possible that we may be going. Now let us repeat the whole poem. I mean, the part one also, I want to remind you that in part one, he has been talking about the love which he has for his beloved. He says that even before looking at the face of the beloved, he has been in his thought, in his views, thinking about his beloved. And wherever he found some beautiful voice, wherever he found some beautiful flame, shining flame, he thought it is his beloved, or his beloved would be like that. Till the time he had seen his beloved. And when he saw her, he was confirmed that his beloved is very beautiful, because he could see the same beauty in the eye of the beloved, in the eyebrows of the beloved, in the lips of the beloved, and even in the hair of the beloved. So in that way, he has compared his abstract understanding of love for his beloved with the physical love which he can see in the shape of the beauty of the beloved. Now, what is happening actually? It is totally Platonic concept of love, that love can be there even if the body is not there. For example, John Donne says that when he had not seen his beloved, even then he was feeling the love of that beloved. So that is why he fell in love with an abstract thing, with the belief, with the soul, one can say. But when the body came, love was strengthened. But when love became strengthened, then there was another issue, that the quantity and quality of love had increased so much that it was difficult to control it. So the poet thought of controlling that love by mixing up some kind of impurity in the love. As he said that his love is pure. Now, he gives us two examples. One example of the boat, where in the center some steel is put in order to keep the boat in balance. Second example he gives us about the angel, that the angels are of no body, they don't have the body like us, so we cannot see them. But if the angel wants that he should be seen, or we have some power to see the angel, we see them through air. That air is an impurity, angel's body is pure, both things combine together, and as a result, we have a capacity to look at the angel. So dear students, these two conceits, the difficult images, one is that of the ballast of the boat, second is that of the angel. Both of these things are really far-fetched images. It's very difficult for us to think about that even, but he has used them in order to show the love. For him, love is not only spiritual, it is also physical. That is why his love concept is called New Platonic concept of love. The poem has some rhyme scheme also. The students should look at the ending voices of the ending sounds or phones of the poem. lines, then they should calculate what kind of rhyme scheme exists there, and they can write it down for the sake of their critical appreciation. So thank you for attending this lecture. Hope to see you in some next lecture.